Hello and welcome to TVB News. Chief Executive John Lee tested positive for COVID-19 after returning to the city last night from the Asia Pacific Economic Cooperation Summit in Bangkok. Lee is currently isolating himself at Government House. While in Thailand, he met with both President Xi Jinping and Foreign Minister Wang Yi. Timothy Lee tells us more.
After concluding his trip to Thailand, Chief Executive John Lee landed at Hong Kong International Airport at around 10 p.m. on Sunday. In the government's press release issued at 8 this morning, authorities announced that Lee's airport PCR test result came out positive, while all his RT results were negative over the course of his stay in Thailand. Although the CE is currently under isolation, he was well enough to attend a virtual meeting of the Presidium of the Election Council for Deputies to the 14th National People's Congress this morning. But by the afternoon, Lee's office said the CE suffered from a light fever and pain in the throat, and that he was prescribed COVID-19 oral drugs. On Thursday last week, the chief executive flew to Bangkok to attend the Asia Pacific Economic Cooperation, or APEC summit. He was seen wearing his mask when he welcomed the arrival of President Xi Jinping at the airport. During his incubation period, or the 1 to 3 days before testing COVID positive, Lee attended several meetings at the Economic Forum. For both Friday and Saturday, the chief executive sat next to President Xi. Both were not wearing masks at the time. At the end of a Saturday meeting, Lee had a brief conversation with the president before they left the premises at the same time. The CE also spoke with other top mainland officials, including Foreign Minister Wang Yi. Throughout his 4 days in the Southeast Asian nation, Lee also met with world leaders, including Singapore Prime Minister Lee Hsien Loong, Vietnamese President Nguyen Xuan Phuc, and Indonesian President Joko Widodo. Dr. Joseph Zhang, a specialist in infectious diseases, believes the CT value is low for the chief executive's case, adding that the risk of transmission should be low. In the meantime, staff of the chief executive's office who accompanied Lee to Bangkok have all tested negative on their PCR tests. Lee will continue to stay in Government House for now. The chief executive's office said John Lee will continue to work from home during this time. In his recent visit to Bangkok, Lee met with several regional leaders at the APEC summit to discuss about Hong Kong's economic future. Timothy Lee, TVB News.
The election of local deputies to the National People's Congress will be held on December 15th. The city's sole delegate to the NPC Standing Committee, Tam Yu Chung, said today he will not be standing in the election. Sharon Tang reports.
The Election Council for Deputies to the 14th NPC held its first plenary meeting at the Convention and Exhibition Centre in Wan Chai this morning. The 19-member presidium was elected without any objection or abstention. That includes the appointment of Chief Executive John Lee as permanent chairman. But former Chief Executive Tung Chee-hwa is no longer on the list. Also among the presidium members were Vice Chairwoman of the Basic Law Committee Maria Tam and representatives from the political and business sectors. The nomination period for the NPC deputy election will begin on Wednesday and last for a week. Voting will be held on December 15th. The Election Council, composed of 1,423 members, will select the 36 Hong Kong deputies by secret ballot. Yang Zhenwu, who chaired the meeting, said members on the presidium have a glorious duty. He noted any attempts to endanger national security using this election would be a challenge against the authority. Each member of the council can nominate up to 36 people to run in the race. Candidates must garner nominations from more than 15 people and swear allegiance to the Constitution and the Basic Law. After new deputies are elected, one of them will be nominated as the sole delegate to the National People's Congress Standing Committee. The NPC will then vote on the nomination. The current delegate, Tam Yu Chung, stressed today that he will not seek re-election, adding he's not that young anymore. He also said the central government respects his decision, which was made back in July. Sources say former Chief Executive Carrie Lam may run for the post. When asked how he thinks of Lam, Tam said he doesn't see the need to comment on other people. Sharon Tang, TVB News.
The city reported 7,286 new COVID cases. 6,672 of them are locally acquired. 11 more COVID patients have died. Infections were reported at 16 care homes for the elderly or the disabled. More than 70 care home residents have subsequently been quarantined. 2,057 infections were reported across 870 schools. So far, the fifth wave of the pandemic has claimed the lives of 10,397 people in Hong Kong. The mainland's daily COVID tally has surpassed the 20,000 mark once again, with 2 more patients having succumbed to the virus. 960 of the infections were reported in Beijing. Residents of Beijing's virus-hit Chaoyang district have been asked to avoid traveling to other parts of the city. This comes with the 3-day financial street forum getting underway in the capital. In total, the mainland reported 26,824 cases today. 9,085 infections were reported in Guangdong, with most of them identified in Guangzhou. The chairman of Cathay Pacific has said that its Hong Kong-based staff members will receive an average pay rise of 3.3%. The city's flagship carrier also expressed confidence that it will be able to repay some $27 billion of debt back to the government on time. Christy Khan has details.
In recent years, the city's flagship carrier, Cathay Pacific, has laid off many staff members due to the economic impact of the pandemic. However, with Hong Kong gradually reopening to the world and easing its coronavirus restrictions, the situation is set to change. The airline has announced that an average base pay increase of 3.3% will be offered to Hong Kong-based staff members. An additional bonus worth an equivalent of a month's salary will be given to them as well. The carrier's chairman said he's confident that Cathay Pacific will be able to clear its debt by the due date.
We're operating at on a cash positive basis, right? So we're no longer burning cash as we were earlier in the crisis. So that enables us then to plan for firstly the payment of dividends, and we're confident that the government will make a good return on both the preference shares and the warrants that they're entitled to as a result of that recapitalisation programme in June 2020.
Even though international flights to and from the city have gradually resumed, he said Cathay's business is still being affected by the strict anti-COVID policies adopted by the mainland.
It's behind in relative terms. It's behind the rest of the network because of the level of restrictions that are still in place in the mainland itself, and also because of the ongoing restriction on transit through Hong Kong to mainland destinations.
The airline company added that it will keep on recruiting more crew members to meet the increasing demand for its service. Christy Khan, TVB News.
Malaysia's political future still hangs in the balance after a deadline for choosing a potential new leader was extended by 1 day. The country's king accepted a request to prolong the deadline, originally set for 2 p.m. today, to the same time tomorrow. The once powerful National Front Party said it had yet to decide whether to support Anwar Ibrahim's reformist alliance of Hope Coalition or the Malay-dominated National Alliance. Nazvi Karim has more.
For decades, the Barisan Nasional Coalition was the dominant force in Malaysian politics. Led by the United Malays National Organisation Party, they had never lost an election after independence until 2018, when massive corruption allegations related to the 1MDB scandal turned voters off. Saturday's general election, or G15, was its worst showing ever, garnering just 30 of the 222 parliamentary seats. Though it was a stark reminder of just how far Barisan had fallen, the coalition ironically holds the key to Malaysia's next government. Barisan is being wooed by 2 rival coalitions who need its 30 seats to acquire the 112 needed to form a government. Anwar Ibrahim's Alliance of Hope party earned 82 seats, and he is confident of becoming the next Prime Minister. The National Alliance, or Perikatan Nasional, won 73 seats, of which 49 belong to the Pan-Malaysia Islamic Party, or PAS. Its leader, Muhyiddin Yassin, who was previously Prime Minister of 17 months, is also confident of winning over Barisan, having reportedly secured around 22 more seats from a Borneo political bloc. On Sunday, Malaysia's King Al-Sultan Abdullah asked parties to submit the names of likely Prime Minister candidates by 2 p.m. on Monday. Barisan, though, successfully applied for a 24-hour extension, with the party's leader Ahmed Zahid Hamidi saying they had yet to decide which coalition to back. Zahid, under pressure to step down over his party's poor showing, also said he was the only Barisan member with the mandate to decide on any political alliances. Some Barisan members have gone on social media showing support for Muhyiddin's bloc. Malays make up 2/3 of Malaysia's population of nearly 33 million, with large minorities of ethnic Chinese and Indians. Anwar is seen as a reformist who opposes affirmative action for Malays, many of whom may lean toward Muhyiddin over fears that rights afforded them by law may be threatened. With past his ever-growing influence, Malaysia's non-Muslims are likely to favour an Anwar government over concerns of growing religious fervour by a party who touts Islamic law. Nazvi Karim, TVB News.
China has denied that one of its Coast Guard ships used force against a Philippine vessel to retrieve a piece of rocket in the South China Sea. The Philippine military said the Chinese ship on Sunday forcibly retrieved the object, which was being towed by one of its vessels. The Philippine military said in a statement the object was spotted early on Sunday near Thitu Island in the Spratlys. It said they started towing the object before the Chinese vessel twice blocked them. The statement added the Chinese then sent an inflatable boat to cut the tow line, taking the object back to their ship. China's Foreign Ministry spokeswoman Mao Ning said the object was debris from a spacecraft launched by Beijing. She said both sides had friendly negotiations at the scene before the Philippines handed over the object. The snap election called in Kazakhstan has been won by the incumbent president, Kassym-Jomart Tokayev. Tokayev won over 81% of the vote, according to the Election Commission. 5 other candidates were on the ballot, but with a campaign that started in late October, they had little time to have an impact. The second most popular candidate garnered just 5.8%. The election was held as Tokayev moved to distance Kazakhstan from Russia. He does not recognize Ukrainian regions that Moscow declared to be sovereign states at the start of the war that began in February. Kazakhstan has also taken in Russians fleeing a conscription order in September. Welcome back. Electricity supplier CLP Power said today a tariff hike is unavoidable due to rising fuel costs. However, the company will set aside $100 million next week to subsidize underprivileged families.
We believe it is very timely that we deploy half of our funding, which is $100 million, to set aside to provide fuel cost subsidy for 150,000 underprivileged families, including the subdivided unit tenants. We come up with different programs at different times, which we think is important to meet the evolving needs of the community. And we believe the fuel cost subsidy program will be able to offer a substantial sum of money to alleviate the financial burden of the underprivileged families.
Star Ferry has applied to double its fares for trips between Tsimsha-Tsui and Central and Wan Chai. The ferry service operator has proposed increasing its weekday adult fares to $6.40 to as much as $8.40 for trips during weekends and public holidays. The operator proposed raising child's fares to $5. It also suggested scrapping the previously free rides for the elderly and making the cost the same as the new child fare. The government noted that Star Ferry has been posting losses since 2018. That's the news. Money Matters is up shortly. Bye for now.